Hey, welcome back, everybody. Again, we're going to take some time out of the day to interview the expert. This is a very unique interview today. I am super excited about it. I'm going to give you some background on why I have a friend of mine, Joe Olliges, with us today. You may know him affectionately as Trainer Joe. If you recognize the face, his face is a lot of places. Used to be on a car. Kind of. Was kind of silhouette. The logo, right? It was a silhouette of you. Anyways, we've done Ask the Experts. We've talked about estate planning, Medicare, cybersecurity. By the way, go back and review the cybersecurity video. My mother just got hit with a cybersecurity scam today, to the point where people called her to try to get her to do bank shenanigans. Anyways, go check that video out. It's really good. But let me preface why I have Joe here today. Okay. Average age client that we work with all throughout the United States is around 67, 68 years of age. Obviously, as you all know, and many of you are clients, we help people to try to figure out how to plan for and strategize and seek a retirement that is the lifestyle that they're accustomed to having led throughout their working years, and, retire off into the sunset, not worry about finances. We'll do all that worrying for you, et cetera, et cetera. But I will tell you this, that over my 23 years of experience, I have seen two distinct types of people once they retire. Person A, they sit around. They do nothing. They get extremely unhealthy. All of a sudden, their body starts to break down. Their mind starts to break down. And challenges start to arise because of poor health, poor fitness. Person 2, or B, I don't know if I started with A or B. It's irrelevant. Number 2, someone who remains active. In fact, more active than they were while they were working. They're engaged in life. They're seeking out better fitness, better lifestyle. They are happier, and often, this is anecdotal, I have seen them live a lot longer. They enjoy family time, grandchildren, you name it, travel, etc. So I'm very passionate about this because I have seen two types of distinct people, and I would love for all of you to be in the second camp. So we brought in Joe, Trainer Joe. Trainer Joe has been a very active individual in the health and fitness community for what I have seen anecdotally, again, for a very, very long time, right? How long have you been doing this?
It's been about 12 years.
12 years. So that's a long time.
Yeah.
All right. Without further ado, Joe, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, we're glad you're here. Give me a background, first of all, of who you are, what you do, how you got into what you're doing, etc.
Okay. Grew up in Louisville, came to UK on a track scholarship.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and met my wife. She was here. She was at UK on a tennis scholarship.
Wow.
So we were both already athletic, and she was into the health and nutrition more than I was, and we got married. I learned some of that from her, and then I spent a lot of years in business, sales, different kinds, and after a lot of years in the insurance business, sitting all day, they call it death by sitting, which is something to consider because you mentioned retirement. For a lot of people, that's an opportunity to finally get out of a chair. I mean, so it can be easier for some, but anyway, I did that for a long time, and then some things happened after me sitting in a chair for a lot, and my wife was like, hey, why don't we look at something different? And fortunately, that business had gone well for me, so I was in a position I could try things, right? I didn't have to start all over. And we decided, let's try this. I had room in my basement, to put a little gym and start helping people. I was at a church service where my son was going to church, and the pastor said something that struck me because I wasn't sure. I'm always wondering when I'm going to grow up, and find my my
passion,
thing.
Your purpose.
In life, and I'll be 60 in next month.
Wow.
By the way, so here we are. But his pastor said something. I thought, oh, that's good. He said, if you're still not quite sure what you're supposed to do, he said, consider the possibility that the thing that ticks you off might also be the thing that makes you tick.
Oh, I like that.
I did too. I thought,
like that a lot.
because and some people say, well, you've never struggled with this, Joe. I need to go to somebody that's been 100 pounds overweight. And I'm like, you have no idea what I've struggled with. Things I've had to overcome and addictions and difficulties and stresses in my life where I've had to implement so similar things. They're so similar, and whether it's finances or health, so many similarities to that. So when I heard that, I'm like, man, my dad struggles with this. My brother struggles with this. My friends, my people at church, all these people that I knew were really being, their lunch was being eaten. They were just, and I'm like, I don't think it should be that hard to not fall into this condition. And so I began to investigate that and look into that, and it was like, and I began to help some people, and it was like, this is fun, this works, and so I started training people in my home.
Now, did you become a personal trainer?
Yes.
Prior to that, like leading up, you said, okay, I'm gonna.
It was all kind of hit.
How did that all evolve?
Kind of hit the fan all at once. So the job change happened. I won't go into all the details on that.
Yeah, that's fine.
But it was a great job for a lot of years. Went great. So I'm retiring from that at almost 50, and then late 40s, and so it was a neat opportunity for me. So I just kind of put the word out, on Facebook. Hey, who wants to get healthy and fit? And I started meeting with people in my basement. That was a great experience for me, but a lot of hard work. For meeting with one person at a time. And I had
not scalable.
Right. Not really what I wanted to do. But I had to do that to learn what I wanted to do.
Because you were thinking, I could make a career or a business about
I'm going to be so good at this.
Right. Well, but I mean, it's not like it's not like you woke up and said, okay, I mean, I love to mentor young men.
Yeah.
I'm not making a business out of it. I want to mentor a young man. If I spend 4 hours with him one day, that is not scalable, right? But that's the young man. Scalability might come generations, but it sounds like you said, and yours would as well, right? But you said, this might be another profession. This might be another career opportunity.
It would have been a lot scarier in some ways had I not been in the position that I was in.
Sure.
I was able to take some chances. I had some flexibility. We could try it for a year and see. We weren't going to, lose our home or whatever. So it was a neat opportunity. And doing that, and then I had some clients that were loving it, and I'm like, I'm glad you love it, but I can't afford to keep doing this one person at a time and handing you weights. But it was enjoyable to a large extent. So one of the ladies I was working with had her own business and a lot of employees, and she said, I love what you're doing to help me. She said, would you come and speak to my employees and kind of teach them what you taught me? And I said, well, let me think about it. Yes.
Yeah.
And I said, when do you want me to do this? And she said, how about in a couple of weeks? So that was when I prayed a lot for those 2 weeks because I needed to come up with something different than what I was doing. I was already teaching it, but I didn't have the program. Yeah. So developed this program sincerely with a lot of prayer because I didn't know. I'm like, who knows the best way to do this thing. And it was mainly to help people that were struggling with health and weight loss to change their mindset. And that's what I was doing with people. The weightlifting, the exercise piece was very small compared to, so how's the week been going for you? Show me what you've been eating. Let's look at how your weight's going. And they begin to realize, wow, all I have to really do is some of these things he's talking to me about, and they're seeing, wow, you mean I don't need to eat that much? You mean it's okay to not have dessert every night? And I was thinking a bottle of wine was okay. Maybe there's calories in that. It's just stuff that you just open your eyes to. And so that was kind of the beginning of it. And so then started working with employees. And most people have a misconception even now. I mean, people that I've known for a long time, and they're like, how's the training business? And I know what they mean. They think I'm training somebody in my basement. Yeah. Fitness. I don't do that. Okay. I did in the beginning. Now it was through Facebook. Now we have an app. So I help people to change the way they relate to food more than anything else with the mindset change.
I love it. Now, a couple of odds and ends, and I should have done this from the very beginning. I always say this, but I'll say this again. Joe and I have no business arrangement whatsoever.
Right.
So I want to make that very clear. I truly have a passion for bringing people to you that I find value in, and I've found value. I've watched his material. I've observed him for a very, very long period of time. I have great respect for what you do. I have my own kind of health journey. I think I shared that with you a while back. So no remuneration, et cetera, et cetera. But so let's take a step back.
Congratulations, by the way, on your own journey.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
it was a lot. Yes, and it's, there's some ups and downs here and there, but yes, it was fascinating. But I want to go down that path a little bit because I know when I spent 2 years in Florida, 05 to 07. I worked in an equity hedge fund. I was a trader at a desk. I sat in front of 8 computers every day, ordered breakfast, lunch, and sometimes dinner in. Never saw the sun in South Florida. It was interesting. Ballooned to 210 pounds at 5'10 and a half. Totally unhealthy. I mean, it was awful. Left that, right, would have about killed me. Left that. It was an amazing opportunity. I learned a tremendous amount. And thus began my journey of going from 210 to 150 or so at the time. Now it's a little bit more than that, but around 150, 60 or so pounds. I want to ask you, there's so many things out there if somebody's struggling with weight. And we're going to get into, movement and just being healthy and, making wise decisions in the psychology. But there's so many different things to do, right? Do you count calories? Do you, are you vegan? Are you meat? Are you fasting? Are you not fasting? Are you, no carbs, lots of carbs, et cetera. What do you subscribe to, if any? Yeah. What is your MO when it comes to that?
Yeah.
Because that's a world within itself, and I know it. It's vast.
It is, and that's part of the reason I think people struggle so much is because there's not just one way. It's like, do the one way and you'll be fine. There's that one way and everybody needs to pick it. It's not. And I think, honestly, there is more than one way, right? And for one reason, we're all different. So I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all. But I do kind of think about one size fits about 95, 98%. And so I'm like, how can I help the most people in the simplest way? And that's kind of what I've adopted. I'm not a hater of any particular food. Some people are. Don't ever eat that. I don't have anything that I would tell somebody never eat that. Unless you're allergic to it or it triggers in you something unhealthy. Then I say, well, it would make sense not to choose that. Right? So I'll never tell anybody, there's certain things you should never eat. Now, having said that, if I think the last time I chose to eat a donut has been quite a long time. But it's not because I can't. And that's one of the things I try to help people with is let's understand what freedom is. Right? Because sometimes they're thinking, please don't give me a program where I can't eat the things that I want to eat. And I'm like, no, eat whatever you want to eat. But you understand you have the freedom to choose not to eat those things too and to see what you get instead of that. Because there's a great reward when we look at those things. So I'm more of the mindset in that sense. And it's funny you bring up carbs because I might go into that if we run out of time, but just some things that I went through with carbs that were interesting and some things that I learned about that. So you can bring that up later if you want to. But so carbs, calories, no, I do not. When somebody comes to me and says, I need your help, many times it's through an assessment, either on the phone or we meet locally somewhere if they're local. And I get to ask questions and find out what's going on with them. And almost always I'm going to prescribe something very similar because there's a lot of similarities in what people are going through. Now, occasionally I'm talking to somebody that's very ill. They have issues, diseases, cancer, or they're pregnant, or they just recovering from an accident or having a baby or whatever it is. And so we consider those things. But for most people, when you were 210 pounds, if you'd have come to me and said, what's going on? How am I 210 pounds? I would have said something kind of snarky probably like, well, here's the problem, Quint. You eat for 210 pounds.
Yeah.
That's what you eat for. Your lifestyle is a 210-pound lifestyle. And I would say, all we have to do is live a 160-pound lifestyle, and guess what happens? You become 160. Now, you can say, well, do I need to count calories to do that? No, but you can. Do I need to count carbs to do that? No, but you can. Do I need to be vegan? No, you can, but it's harder.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we're talking about the plant-based and meat, obvious reasons for various things there, I would just say that when you remove entire food groups, it tends to be more difficult to get the nutrition you need. So just realize that if you choose to go in that
one
direction.
of the things, and I'd love your input on this, one of the things that I've seen is I've seen people who do subscribe to different disciplines, and they are very fit. I'm fortunate. I run with a group, and they're very fit. And there's some vegans that are in the group, and there's some plant-based diet. And then I have some other folks that I know that are, resolved to fast constantly and so forth. And I've sort of now I'm not vegan. I try to adhere to a kind of a Mediterranean style diet. It seems to fit me. I'm not a faster. A lot
of people are.
A lot of people
intermittent
are.
Fasting.
It's a big thing. But what I've kind of, and I love your input, is what I've realized is there's a lot of ways to get it done. But you got to remain consistent with whatever it is that you choose, and it needs to fit your personality.
Right.
Is that? Do you agree with that, or disagree, or how would you phrase that?
Well, to some degree. So there is the question a lot of people will ask, because I had one guy do my program. I do a 21-day transformation to help people get a reset, to help change the way you think and realize I can do this. Because a lot of people go into a program or saying they want to lose weight, very cynical. They're like, I've done it all before. I'll try this for a few days and see. And I don't feel good. I don't like it. And they quit, So there is the question that comes up a lot is this sustainable? I had a guy do my program. He lost some weight. He gained it back. And it was a little tough because his wife asked me in front of him, and it was a little embarrassing. I think, hey, is this sustainable? My husband did this and he gained his weight back. And what does that mean? It's sustainable if you keep doing it.
Yeah, if you sustain it. So
if you sustain it. So is it easy? Is there an easier plan? So that's kind of what I hear when somebody says, is it sustainable? I'm like, you want an easier one? Okay.
Yeah.
So I do have in mind when I'm doing my program and teaching people, let's find the easiest thing you can possibly keep doing forever. So it's more the mindset, and there are some things that I teach people, and some of them they'll do forever, but some of them they won't. It's a little bit like going to basic training because you want to be a Marine. Do you want to do basic training the rest of your life, or do you want to become a Marine? That's really what we're after. So when people come to me, because I had one lady do a review on my book, it's the worst review I had, and she said, I like a lot of what you said and this, but I found that your program is not sustainable. And I was like, well, it's not supposed to be sustainable. You don't do basic training the rest of your life. You do it to become something. And so that's the way I look at my program. Do my program. You may only eat it once. You may need it 10 times. And I really didn't want to come here to sell my program.
No, I get it.
It's just what I do. But you need to become convinced to do something forever.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people don't like that I think is true without exception is that there will be sacrifice. And I'll tell a little story. I got a phone call from a lady. She said, hey, I just left my doctor. This was pre-COVID. She said, I just left my doctor. She said, as a matter of fact, I'm out in the parking lot. And my doctor said she can increase my medications or I can get healthy. And she happened to have your card handy. She said, tell me what I need to do. She said, I'm 69, and my goal is to be at a healthy weight when I'm in my 70s. So we sat down at the local Panera. And I noticed when she tried to get up, she had to get momentum. She had to rock to get out of a chair. She needed to lose about 75 pounds. And we had a neat conversation, and I could tell she's ready. She was basically saying, just tell me what to do. I don't want to live like this. I can barely do what I need to do. And so we talked about it, and she did my program, and she lost all her weight, all that she needed to lose in a matter of months. So here she is. So what's the difference between her and another client I had who, same situation, doctor sent him to me, and he was with his wife, and he came over to my house a few times, and he struggled to walk up the steps, and I'm looking at him, and I can tell he's not going to do what I'm telling him he needs to do. He was a retired executive, wealthy, loved working on cars, had grandchildren, and I'm seeing him, and my heart's breaking because I can tell he's not going to be willing to make the sacrifice to be healthy. because he needed to lose about 100 pounds. And in my mind, the vision is there, the clarity's there. I can tell him what to do, and if he does it, he'll lose all his weight. He'll have a different life. He'll live maybe 10 years longer, and all the years he's living are going to be so much better. But there's something, when you're older and you start this, you're like, man, I've been doing it this way forever. Am I really going to believe or trust somebody with some plan that this is going to change my life, and I'm going to have to give up my evening snack? Well, and as weird, as small as that sounds, am I going to have to give up the things that make me feel good? And some of those things you will.
Yeah.
You will.
Well, and a lot of times it takes a medical, like the gal who called you from the parking lot. It takes a doctor to say, you better do this. I mean, sometimes you have to have that catalyst, right? You have to have something in your life that says, enough is enough. Enough is enough. I'm ready to change. I'm ready to do what's needed to be done.
Yes, I call that dating, dying, or dinero. Which is it? What's motivating you now? Because when somebody loses 50, 80, 100 pounds, there's normally something happened.
Dating, dying, or dinero.
Which is it?
I love it.
You dating somebody new? Did your doctor say you're going to die? Or are you selling Amway protein powder and you know you're going to sell more if you look better?
So I want to shift gears a little bit because I know that your program, well, first of all, if people are watching this, they're struggling with weight loss, they want to look more into your program. How do they learn about your program to consider taking something like your 21-day reset?
Yeah, they can test the waters from my YouTube channel.
Okay.
That's all free.
I got Trainer Joe.
Yeah, Trainer Joe.
Trainer Joe.
Trainer Joe. Some people think it's Trader Joe. It's not. It's Trainer Joe. You should have no problem finding me on YouTube under Trainer Joe Health and Weight Loss. So that would be, I got an email today from a lady, and she said, hey, I saw I just came across your YouTube channel, really resonated with me. She said, I think I want to take the next step and do your program. I've contacted her back. I said, here's a link. Would love to have you. She said, wow. She said, thanks for the quick response. This is about to get real. And I said, yes, it is. Let's go. I get so excited when somebody's ready to go because to me, when they say I'm ready, I'm like, so am I.
Yeah.
Let's get it done. Let's do it. Because without exception, when somebody is willing to do the work, they're going to lose the weight. And typically, if they're on meds, and I always say, do whatever your doctor says, but they're pre-diabetic, you're not going to be after this. You're diabetic, type 2 diabetic, probably not going to be after this. And certainly if you stick around for a while, they come off their meds, they lose their weight. I had one lady, I went and spoke at her church, and she was mad that I was there because it was actually during the service. But her pastor had worked with me and lost a bunch of weight. He said, hey, I want to interview you in my service in the morning. And she was mad. She said, I didn't come to church to hear somebody talk about weight loss. And she had about 200 pounds she needed to lose, a little over that. And she said, I hope his plan's expensive. So when I go home and tell my husband, he's going to say we can't afford it. And then when they told how much it cost, she was like, oh, crap. She said, I'm going to have no excuse. I'm going to have to do this guy's program. It's kind of what she was thinking.
Yeah.
In 14 months, she lost 212 pounds.
Holy cow.
And again, it's about somebody that's ready and has a reasonable plan that will work, whether it's mine or somebody else's. If you're ready and you will adopt, and I tell people, I got good news and bad news. The bad news is it's going to take a plan and a commitment for you to get where you want to be. The good news is that's it.
Sounds like financial world. Sounds like what we do.
That's all. If
people would just follow the financial and the retirement plan. All right, let's shift gears a little bit because in all honesty, what my thought is, there's a lot of people that are going to be watching this, and they aren't struggling with weight. There's a transition that occurs when you retire. You've been going. Mm-hmm. You've been going 100 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. You've been working every day. This is what I have witnessed. I've watched this. Yeah. And you stop. You've been financially responsible. You have a financial and retirement plan. You know your distribution strategy. You know your numbers. You got all this. You figured it all out, and you're done. And it's easy to just go to the couch and to sit. So I want talk to me a little bit. If most people are calling you, they want to drop weight. So they're 21. Right. Fix me is what they're saying.
Right.
It's not what I'm asking. What I want you to address is you're talking to someone And instead of seeing them come up the stairs and you looking at them going, oh, I know they're not going to follow this, and this is I stare at people and I go, when they retire, are they just going to go to the couch and all of a sudden becoming sedentary, becoming unhealthy? All of a sudden the aches and pains are going to start to set in.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who's relatively in shape now, but has that potential the minute they retire?
2 words. Pickle ball.
Okay. Yeah, and the orthopedic surgeon hates you, right?
Oh, I don't know. Because I heard one lady say, she said, the best exercise is the one you will do. And if it's fun, I mean, I've tried various things to help make me healthy that I would drink or whatever. And if they're nasty, I find myself being inconsistent.
Yeah,
okay?
for sure.
But if you find an exercise that you actually like.
So an activity.
So if you can, you're going to have to. But unfortunately, some people don't have a lot of desire or drive or dream to maintain this level of activity. So we need to address that. Is there something, are you sad? Are you depressed? Are you going through something that makes you not want to get out and go? So you hopefully have that mindset that you understand the benefits of remaining active. And that's
how do you discuss? Do you feel it's important to remain active with your spouse, and do you try to find things that you do together, or is it like every man for themselves, or where do you fall on those kind of things?
Yeah, one of the things that I look at with this is trying to help people find motivation, because there's studies, direct relationship with the strength you have in your legs and how much longer you're going to live. There's another one with how quickly can you get up off the floor. It's telling us how long you're going to live. Do you have to grab a stool and then both knees and then this, or can you hop up without that? So it's like, and not to be morbid, but do you want to live? So to just ask a simple question is, I recently lost a mother-in-law who lived into her 90s and was active until the end, would drive to the Y and swim, because she knew, if I stop, I'm going to die. Because she had COPD. She had various health issues. Both hips had been replaced. But she knew, as long as I keep going, I'm going to be okay. And she did, until the very end. She probably took her dog for a walk, a week before she died. So you've got to have something in you that says, I want to live. I want to be around. What do you want to be around for? I know where I go to church, our pastor talks like he's aging, and he's like, what else do I have I want to do here? And he sent a note out to the whole church, and he said, he said, I've noticed a lot of people in the Bible did amazing things in their older years. And he named Moses and different ones that were older. I think of Colonel Sanders, when he started KFC. He's older. We've got to realize there's more we can do. It's not over. It shouldn't be just because we turned 70 or retiring. And that's where when Shelley said, I want to be the right weight in the decade of my 70s, I'm like, what an awesome thing to be looking forward to that. Now, she had grandchildren, and a lot of times that will motivate somebody to want to be active and be able to move and go hiking with the grandkids or with your spouse. So to stir up in you, why do I want to remain active? Why do I want? And I mentioned the guy that I could tell he's not ready to respond. It's not in him to want to do the work to live longer and to be able to move and to function in a healthy manner. So I would hope that in retirement, if you were sitting in a chair, kind of like you were talking about when you were in Florida, and kind of inactive all day, ordering all your meals there, okay, let's see if we can change that up a little bit. So you need to have a desire. And sometimes I'm talking to people and I'm like, you're not my client if you have no real desire. And I don't say that. And if they come to me, generally they are going to be my client because they have shown a desire. But I see some people like, this person really doesn't really want to do anything. That's a tough place to be. So I don't know that I'm going to have a good answer for somebody that is just at a loss for things. But if they come to me and say, man, I really would like to live to 10, 15, 20, 30 more years and be able to play pickleball or carry my grandchild around, then okay, as long as you have a desire to do that. Because when somebody is struggling and I'm asking them, now, why'd you eat, 5 Reese cups last night? That's not on my program, and you're doing my program. And I'm like, would you have eaten them if you knew they would have killed you? It's like, tell me where you're at, because if they would have still eaten them, you don't have much desire to go on, do you? So you got to have that desire to.
So great advice is finding something you're interested in, right? I mean, that sounds like staying active, getting out. There's a lot of times I work with people and they're coming upon retirement and I say to them, where are you going to get involved in? What are you going to get involved in? What are you going to be volunteering for? And they look at me like I got 3 heads because they're like, wait, well, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, again, I think it's important to stay active. Where do you fall on, I've heard a lot of and I've read a lot of studies about just generally walking, the getting out and walking every day and trying to log a few miles. What are your thoughts on that?
It's so huge. It's one of the early presidents, I don't remember which one it was, he said, get used to walking very far. It's the best thing you can do. And it's so, there's so much to that. When I'm working with somebody, sometimes they'll come to me and they'll think, if I just had a better exercise routine and they need to lose 30, 50, 100 pounds, I'm like, no, it's not that. Okay, it's not your workout; it's the cookout.
Yeah, you can't outrun the fork.
So I make sure they understand, and I will even say, the only exercise I require when you're working with me is a 20-minute walk every day. That's it. Now, if you're already doing more, that's fine, but I don't require that. And sometimes they're disappointed because they wanted their answer to be in an exercise routine, and I'm just real. I'm like, that's not it. Now, I want you to work out. I have a gym in my basement. I love to work out. It's a symbiotic relationship when it's food and exercise together. But you can lose weight in a hospital bed. You don't have to do anything, and that's what I try to tell people, is like, this is not going to be, you getting healthy is going to be way less about you doing things and way more about you stopping some things. If you don't exercise at all, a 20-minute walk is going to be huge for you. If you're already doing that and you're looking for more, then you need to do resistance training. And so the walking is huge, wonderful. It's all I require when somebody's doing my program. But once they get going and they've lost weight and they're feeling better, I'm like, now let's start lifting weights.
Yeah.
Whatever the age.
And
then don't get ugly with that. It doesn't have to be some
sure.
grueling, back-breaking thing, but some resistance training to maintain that muscle mass.
Tell me about your book. You brought me a copy. It's Only Food. That was very kind of you, by the way. Thank you very much. So tell me about the book that people can get on Amazon, by the way.
That's right.
What's this all about?
It's a lot of my program. My program's actually in there, so if somebody wanted the cheapest way to walk through that, I guess that's it. It's in there, and it's helping people understand that if you can get to the place where you hold food lightly, I tell people, you can have cheesecake, just don't let cheesecake have you. And too many people really are captive to their appetite, and it's like most of them know it. They're like, I can't give up this, or I can't stop eating this at night. I can't. One guy said, he said, I have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich every night before I go to bed. He said, I'm concerned. He said, I really think if I didn't do that, I'd probably wake up dead. He's like, I couldn't live through the night without that. It's just a habit.
Sure.
And that's one of the neatest things I see is people with habits, when we help them stop, they realize, I just had to stop. And it wasn't the end of the world for me to not have this or that, whatever thing that was.
What else, as we kind of wrap up, what other things would you make sure that people are aware of? And again, I want to make sure the audience, and there could be people, I'm sure there are. I mean, percentages tell us there's probably going to be a lot of people watching this that struggle with weight, and they might, absolutely be hitting you up for the 21-day reset. But what else would you say to somebody who's approaching? That's my biggest concern. My biggest fear for our clients is they become sedentary. They just don't do anything, and we work so hard to get them to these retirement years, and then it's cut short because of health. What other things would you say in conclusion? Yeah. I mean, anything else that you can add there?
Yeah, and so I mentioned that I have an app, and we're able to do groups in the app, and one thing we're looking at doing is an actual group, a pickleball group, So, and that's just something my wife and I started playing, and we're like, well, this is crazy. But whatever it is, for me, I realized at one point years ago, before I even started doing this, I was playing basketball at the gym, and some young kid elbows me in the back because I wasn't that good, so I made up for it with aggressiveness, which he didn't appreciate. Elbowed me in the back, and I bust my lip. And after that, I was like, done with basketball. I'm like, too old for this, but I'm not too old for many other things. And you've got to determine that just because you can't do some of the things you used to do, I played football in college. Yeah, well, that's over. Okay, but you can walk. And you might find that you can swim. A lot of overhead with swimming, but it's a wonderful exercise you can probably do the rest of your life, which is why my mother-in-law was doing it. So you've got to decide it's important to maintain your body, to maintain some muscle mass, to be able to do what you want to. If you don't care, I can't, we can't do a lot for that person. Right. You've got to care, then we can open the door and help you. One of the things I try to help people do is just believe that it's possible, because a lot of people get cynical when it comes to the weight loss thing. And the exercise, they might think, too, I've never done that. I've never tried that. And it's like, I recommend to everybody that I talk to that hadn't done this before, hire a trainer for at least a while. Get comfortable and confident with a routine that then you can do on your own, or if you like that accountability, go to them the rest of your life. But you're going to have to decide, this is important for me to maintain a level of fitness forever. I mean, you can look it up. There's 100-year-olds that are out jogging and doing things. I'm not saying that I doubt I'll be jogging when I'm 100, but I hope that I'm functioning well into my 90s.
Yeah, I've seen it firsthand. I mean, we have a longtime client who comes in, I think, top 3 in the senior Olympics consistently in running. She's a legend, Mary Nagel. I don't know if you know Mary or have heard of Mary. She's still running in her 80s, and I mean, she's just amazing. And she comes in here, and she's full of life and spirit, and she's out there, and she's running slow and shuffling, but she's doing it, and it's just so inspiring to see. So,
it is.
I mean, that's my passion, and I really hope people take to heart. Well, I'm so glad you came in today. Is there anything else you want to share, or how can people, again, they can find you on YouTube? Is there anything else that you want to share that people need to know about you, or how to get a hold of you, et cetera?
Yeah, if they go to YouTube, that'll probably give them everything they want, including access to my program. There's links and things like that on there, so that would be the way to do it. If they want my book, they can get it on Amazon.
Great.
My phone number is even in my book, I think, so I'm easy to find, easy to reach.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Joe, and I wish you success for the next 12 years in your program. I appreciate you being with us today.
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you all for tuning in. Again, brought the expert out today. Hope you found value in this. Make it a great day.